Hi, friends. Welcome back to Expedition. Yesterday, we talked about our basic needs. Let's review what they were. I'm going to hold yours up too, Jay. Let's say them together. Air, water, food, and shelter. So those are our basic needs. Today, we're going to talk about another animal's basic needs, and that's birds. Birds' basic needs. So you're going to need your picture from yesterday, and if it's blank on the back, then you're just going to use that same paper. If you used a piece of recycled paper with something else on the back, then you're going to need a new paper. So I'm going to start with my paper from yesterday, and I'm just going to turn it over to use the back. And I already have the lines there, so that's what I'm going to draw to divide it into 4 parts, because even though there's a lot of things, Jay already did his, even though there's a lot of things that are different between us and birds, one thing that's the same is we have the same basic needs. Birds need air, water, food, and shelter, just like we do. So I'm going to write those words again, same way we did yesterday. Air, water, food, and shelter. The same basic needs as we have, but some of them are going to look a little different for birds than for people. Let's start with air. Take in a deep breath of air again. Birds breathe the same air we do. So again, it's not something you can see, but it's something that you can feel. So if you want to draw some wind, the way you feel air when you're outside, go ahead and draw the wind. If you want to leave the square blank because air is something that you can't see, that's totally fine. Birds and people get air the same way. We just breathe it in from what's around us. That's the air. How about water? Do you think birds drink out of a cup the way we do?
No.
Do they get their water out of a water fountain?
They could.
How about a faucet?
Definitely not.
They could get it out of a water fountain? You mean like
if they bent down and like the dirty water.
The yucky, dirty water that's left over? Where do you think they usually get their air? Or their water? Don't say it. Let's let our friends think for a minute. Where do you think birds usually get their water if it's not from the dirty water fountain? What are your ideas? Okay, Jay, what do you think their ideas are?
Maybe a lake?
Maybe a lake? Yeah, like Lake Merritt. Or maybe if they don't live near Lake Merritt.
River?
A river or a pond or even a puddle on the ground, right? But they have to find water that's lying around and then they dip their beaks into it to drink it. So for water, I'm not going to draw my water bottle or a glass or even a water fountain. I'm going to draw some water in a lake or a puddle or a pond on the ground. I think I'll draw a lake like this. Here's the ground. Here's some waves in the water. Maybe later I'll find a crayon and color it in blue so you know it's water. But it's on the ground and they're going to dip their beaks into it and drink like that. Okay? So we've got air.
Wrong.
That's okay. It's okay if you make a mistake. You can just cross it out and do it again. Jay will show you. If it's not perfect, is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we've got air, water, food. Do you think birds are lucky enough to get beautiful bunches of grapes whenever they want? Probably not. Do birds go to a restaurant and get a hamburger or come in the cafeteria when we have school and eat hamburgers for lunch? What do you think? What do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. That's not the kind of food that birds get to eat. So, where do you think birds find their food? Maybe you already know something about birds. Maybe you've seen a bird eating, or maybe you've read a book about birds and you already know some of the things that birds like to eat. So we'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, Jay, tell us what you know about what birds like to eat.
Well, if there are campers around, some birds, if they live in campsites, like to steal humans' food.
Definitely. People eat human food all the time, not just at campsites. Sometimes if people leave their trash on the ground, birds will come and eat it.
Birds also eat plants and berries
Mm-hmm.
off of like bushes,
Yeah. And have you ever heard that saying, the early bird catches the worm? So I know it doesn't sound good to us, but birds like to eat worms and bugs and other insects.
Don't forget the berries.
Okay, well, let me start drawing some of these things. Some birds like berries. So I'll draw that. Here's a leaf and some berries. I don't know if you could see. Those are my berries in a little leaf. I'll color it later. Some birds like worms. There's my worm. Some birds like to eat insects. Some birds, how about some birds like cormorants that live at Lake Merritt that dive down into the water? What are they getting from under the water?
Fish.
Some birds like to eat fish.
And seagulls.
Mm-hmm. Here's a fish.
Spiders.
Yeah, some birds like to eat spiders. And just like Jay said, some birds like to eat people food, like pieces of garbage that they find on the ground. Seagulls oftentimes eat people food, so I'll draw, part of that hamburger that got left over.
Hey, I thought I ate that.
Has a bite out of it. Those are all different types of food that birds might eat. Okay? Well, let's see. Air, water, food. That brings us to shelter. Do birds live in our house with us?
No.
Nope.
They can. With other people. Other people have pet birds.
Sometimes
we
people
don't.
have pet birds. Yeah. Do birds build houses?
Yeah.
They do? Do they look like the houses we build?
No.
What do they look like?
They look like a bunch of twigs jumbled together
Oh.
with mud.
What's the word for that?
A nest?
A nest. So some birds' shelter is a nest. So I'll draw a nest. A bunch of leaves and sometimes grass.
And it's sometimes
mud.
on a tree.
Could be in a tree. Some birds make their nests out of rocks. Some birds make their nests out of holes in the ground even. But I'm drawing a nest made out of twigs and leaves. And oftentimes it's in a tree. So maybe I'll draw a little tree branch here. Any other places that birds find shelter if it's not in a nest?
I saw a picture and it was like in the magazine. It was like a picture like a nest, but it was hanging from a branch.
So we'll have to do some more.
Interesting, but
Yeah,
that's the only other thing I can think of.
we'll have to do some more reading and looking around for different ways that birds make their shelter. But we know it's not houses like our houses. right? It's nests or other types of shelter that they use to keep themselves dry and safe. Well, now we're done. We have a picture of birds. Here, hold yours up too. And point to the parts with me. Of birds, air, water, food, and shelter. Now it's your turn. If you weren't drawing along with us, or if you didn't have time to finish while we were drawing along, finish your picture of birds, air, water, food, and shelter, and color it and send us a picture. We'll see you again soon. Bye.